Hey everyone, it's Christian here at eCreators, and I'd like to welcome you here today to our gamification webinar, especially featuring Motrain. Now, we've got some really exciting things for you to come up to show you through today, and just show you about all the different things that we can do with gamification in Moodle. So really excited to share that with you. Now, I've got a very special guest that I'm going to introduce you to in a little bit. But firstly, I just want to kick off and just touch on a few little items about gamification that I did speak about last time when we started our gamification series. That was when we were talking about badges and those sort of things as well. So I'm just going to quickly pop over to my screen share here. And I'll just quickly talk to just a couple of these slides here. So the big one that I really wanted to touch on was that gamification is as important as social and mobile as well in the Moodle world. So, we all know it's taken the world by storm, especially social interactions and also mobile as well. But we get a lot of people here at eCreators sort of saying to us, well, how do I get better engagement within my platform? Not enough people are actually taking the courses. I've had some people that have come through and done a lot of work with me in the past and have sort of said, we've built such beautiful content. We've got this great stuff, but I'm struggling to get that engagement from my learners at the other end. So what other things can we do? And that's where sort of the programs like Motrain that we're showcasing for you today really come into play, because it starts giving people more reward, giving them more incentive to jump in and delve in a little bit further into those platforms and into those programs and actually want to keep learning more, or even just excelling themselves and extending themselves just a little bit further to go and get an extra reward or go and achieve something that they might not have actually done. And we've seen some really good benefits come from that, and even just through some of our clients then coming back and saying, wow, that's made a really big difference. We're actually getting better engagement there. So some really great things to think about. So on this slide here, it's gamification is the process to engage, motivate, enhance the learner engagement by using game mechanics or games. So like we said before, and like I spoke about the badges one, Moodle does offer some out-of-the-box solutions there. So it does give you things like badges, which we covered before, some little items like that to try and encourage it. But these plugin features make a big difference. So Motrain, for example, is one that we can then plug into Moodle, and that is now enhancing what we actually do within all our courses. So it just gives us all a lot more flexibility with what we can do and what we're actually going to offer. So basically what we're going to do today, we have half an hour together, and what we're looking at doing is at the start, level 1 there, we're talking about all about Motrain. So what is it? What does it do? What's the background? We're then going to get our special guest, Jeff, here to give you a guided tour. So we'll have a bit of a look around, and he's going to show us what it can do and what else, all the features of it. And then we'll also look at some success stories. And to wrap it up right at the very end, obviously, as always, we want you to ask any questions. So if there's anything that you'd like to know about, please feel free to jump in and we'll help you out with anything that you need to know. So I'm just going to jump out of my presentation now, and I would like to kick off to introducing you to Jeff. So Jeff is, we're very excited with this. Jeff is our official partner now with our Motrain. And so today we want to kick off here and welcome Jeff aboard. Hey Jeff, how are you?
Hey Christian, thanks very much for having me today.
No worries at all. Glad to have you along. So we'll just put Jeff on full screen here so everybody can see nice and big. And I'm going to hand over to Jeff. Initially, what I'm sort of just wanting to find out, Jeff, is that if you could just tell us a bit about Motrain. How did it start? Where did it come from? And what can you use this tool for?
Great, thanks Christian. My background is as a high school physics teacher, and I've been using Moodle for about 7 or 8 years, and I was looking at ways to get my students in there more often, because I was using it in a blended classroom, and I was really relying on the online component of their learning to influence what was happening in the face-to-face side. And I just found that I wasn't getting quite enough of the engagement piece from the students on the LMS side. And so I started to explore some options available in Moodle. You already spoke to some of the existing features, such as the badges, as well as some of the other gamification plugins. And what I was noticing, I could see the intended benefit, and I could see some of the mechanics behind how they worked, but I wasn't getting quite the traction that I was looking for. So that kind of led me down to the path of interviewing and working with some gaming studios to find out some strategies that they used, and coming up with a solution that I thought could work for individuals using Moodle. So that's how the premise of Motrain really kind of got off the ground there. That's a couple of years back that we started.
That's wonderful, Jeffrey. That sounds really, really good. That's amazing. And so tell me a bit about who can use this tool. Who do you think this is all really perfectly designed for?
Well, originally I came from the high school side of things, so that was my main focus. But quite quickly after we started working on the project, I got a number of people from the corporate training space that came and knocked on my door and said, "Hey, have you thought about coming and applying it into our world?" And so Motrain really was the second generation of our development, because we just had that demand. And so probably the last year and a half has been looking at the more mature learners. So in terms of the after the high school, the higher ed, vocational school, and the corporate training. And in terms of the use cases, though, we're seeing a whole bunch of different use cases right now. We've got onboarding situations. We have obviously upskilling within in organizations, as well as we're working on some interesting projects on customer training. And of course, we have a vocational school that's using it as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. Really, really exciting stuff there. So now I know, Jeff, you had a presentation that you were wanting to work through with us today as well. If you want to share your screen with that and start taking us through that, that'd be wonderful.
Sure, sounds good. Let me know when you see my screen there.
Yeah, no worries. Yep, yeah, we got that up there. Yep, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for the great segue to Motrain, by the way, there, Christian. As I mentioned, I was looking at an engagement piece into Moodle, and you can read a lot about engagement, and there's lots of different viewpoints out there. But the one that resonated with me the most in terms of a blended environment or the online learning side of things was really an intellectual and an emotional connection that a user or a learner has with their organization. So obviously, we're looking at developing skills and their education side of things with the intellectual side. But a big component of, I think, on the LMS side, the online learning, is a lack of an emotional connection. And that's something that I thought could really benefit if we could develop the right tool there. So I got really interested in the behaviors that lead to learning within Moodle. And so that was my target in terms of the approach we took for the development of those features. So we identified those behaviors as how quickly learners are going into the platform, how often they're going in. One thing that we were really concerned about was the low levels of course completion. So that was a big concern of ours as well, something we wanted to address. Point number 4 there, I found as a teacher, I basically never saw a student come back into Moodle to further develop their skills once they had met some minimum level of achievement. So if we had something marked as a completion activity, once it was completed, I literally never saw people coming back. So that was another big point, is there a way that we can encourage users to come back and really develop those mastery skills there? And as I already mentioned, a personal connection to the organization, that was something that I felt was really lacking in the e-learning space, especially if it's if you rarely or never see the learner face to face. So with those things in mind that I wanted to address, as I mentioned, I started to use some of the gamification tools, and what I found was it didn't have the effect that I was really looking for. And so when I was interviewing and working with the gaming studios, I found a really interesting connection to their approach to keep getting users to come back to their platforms, and what I was seeing in the classroom with my students. And that was, they were suffering from reward fatigue and indifference, and that they just got tired of earning the same thing, and they simply just didn't really care after a little while. And if you look at the approach to most gamification systems, is that they don't offer any choice to the learner, and they basically receive these rewards of some sort in a systematic manner, where it's very predictable, and over time the user kind of sits there not really thinking about that anymore. That's what I was noticing with my students. And I know you just did a webinar on badges there, Christian, so I found limited use with badges because, again, the users in this day and age, like, what can you do with a badge, especially if it's just supposed to be a motivational one? I understand if it's a credential-based badge that has some value there, but in terms of motivating users, I just wasn't seeing it.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, leader. That being said, I've heard people that say they still like it. We've just stayed away from it because there's some solutions out there already.
Yeah, sure.
Leaderboards, we have put them in. You have to be really careful about leaderboards. If you've done much or any reading on gamification, they can be helpful, but they can be harmful. We have the ability to use them, but we can turn them on or off, and it really comes down to the particular users that you're working with. And the last point was, whether you like it or not, I was finding more and more people were coming to us, even with my own students, but other clients, is that kind of the mentality is shifted as like, what's in it for me, or what's in it for my organization. They want a deeper kind of connection to what that gamification piece is, and some opportunities that might enhance their own development and learning, as well as enhance maybe the goals of the organization. And so our approach, we look at Moodle, the gamification piece in a different way, where the user can earn coins for completing activities and courses. Those coins accumulate in the user's wallet that you can see here on this slide. That's a picture of the block. So the wallet is in the form of a block where you can change the name Motrain to anything you like there. And so that wallet then is, again, where the coins come in, and those coins can then be spent based on what the store items are. And the store items are any opportunity or physical item that the organization wants to put and make available. That's all managed through our dashboard that connects to their Moodle site. And again, it's very specific to that particular organization, where we have allowed each different section on our platform, which is really a cohort. And so a cohort of users can have their own particular Motrain store and group of users. So we wanted to really make the items and opportunities very specific to each user group, even within a large, say, Moodle site. So that was our approach to multi-tenancy. And of course, we added leaderboards in there, but we have two different types of leaderboards. We have a competitive leaderboard, which is users versus users within that cohort. And then we also have a collaborative leaderboard, which is cohort versus cohort. So any member within a cohort can as like a team, group or collaboratively collect coins for their learning. The whole point of this is coming back to that engagement piece, where I look at Moodle and the store as basically the intellectual connection, the emotional and intellectual connection that we have. So it's I call this slide my engagement loop there, where the user goes to the LMS to enhance their intellectual connection with the organization, and then they'll travel over to the store to enhance that emotional connection. So that's the continual drive that we're looking for, where the users go in and earn coins in the LMS, and then we want to drain those coins from the user in the store and give them as many opportunities and items as they can with those coins to keep that connection happening. As I mentioned, our use cases there, so we have a variety. Basically, I'm really interested in all the use cases that Moodle can be found in. I mentioned some that we're already working on: onboarding and professional development is another one among teachers that we're actually using with another group. We have employee training, upskilling. I'm really excited about some projects. We're working with some customer training, so that's like forward-facing outside of the organization. We're looking at a really neat project there that also ties in with marketing as well, because the marketing department wants to look at adding some things to the store. And then I'm keen on our vocational and higher ed connections there. We have one going on right now that I would love to hear a bit more from that space, though. And lastly, our current clients, as I mentioned, we kind of have a variety, and they're all geographically dispersed, but we have some we actually have safety environmental training out of North America here. We've got some healthcare training over in the UK. We have a really cool medical culinary certification program that we just started working with. And then we have teacher professional development in the United States, that vocational school I mentioned in Australia. And then we've got a couple businesses that are doing it for internal training as well. So
It's very good to see Australia up there, getting there on the list halfway down.
I'm really excited to see that one on there. They're actually one of our first clients that came on board, and so out of Australia there, and they actually are the people I'll talk about on our little kind of our success story there. It's kind of a neat approach that they've got there.
Oh, that's great. Well, whilst I got the floor, Jeff, I've just got to give a bit of a shout out to Karaman, who is online and saying hello. So hello back as well. It's good to have plenty of people along today, which is really great. Look, Jeff, I'm starting to get really excited about what you've been talking about and what you've been showing us today. Is it possible for you to give us a bit of a tour around and show us what it actually looks like?
Absolutely. I'm just going to move my, I'm going to drop my face is in the way over here, hopefully. Okay, so we've got, as I mentioned, the wallet displays as a typical block. We also have a plugin that connects to our servers to manage the dashboard and basically feed all of the info to the block. So you can put the block like any other standard block on Moodle there. This one is on the dashboard, on the user's dashboard, where you can see, in this case, this is what a manager would see. They're going to see the store that we have. They're keeping track of their purchases, our leaderboards, and we have single sign-on to our dashboard for any manager that has been given that permission there. So that also, we can show that block. I'll just hop into a course where it's displayed on the side as well. So again, you can choose where you want to see that displayed. And in this case here, our course block here just shows up on the side there. So depending on the use case, you can have it displayed where you like there. Looking at, again, this is I think this is the Boost theme there. I know I try to keep it as plain as possible just because I know people have their own themes that they want. So again, you can customize colors and all of that stuff like a typical block as well. So heading in as a user, this is what they would go in to see where their store items are being listed here. And so you can see we have a wide variety of different types of items. So again, this is really that point that I was trying to address in terms of addressing reward fatigue and reward indifference, is that the store is a place where you can put in any item or opportunity that's specific to the group of users that you're working with, for a couple of reasons. Obviously, to make it relevant to them, but also so that you can start to address some of those personal connections that you'd like to enhance with your organization. So I have lots of conversations with people that are concerned, like oh, well, what kinds of things can you put in a store? And that does take a bit of creativity to do. But some of the conversations that I have with people is I encourage them to really think out of the box. Like, it doesn't have to be an item. And in fact, in terms of the education space, I really like the idea of putting items in that enhance the learning within the organization. So it could be, for one of my favorites in here is this attendance at a conference, for example, that they could maybe go in and learn additional information about maybe another related area of their work. Or maybe you can add a first choice on course selection, or you could do an omission on an assignment, or it doesn't have to be anything that's really, I say, large in value. It can be anything from really, your name in the lunch room as the learner of the week, whatever it is, but it's specific to that group of users. It can be very flexible, anything that you can really think of. So putting items into the store, there are 3 ways that you can post items. The first up here, the charity donation, you can see is a raffle draw. And with all of our items, we always like to put that time constraint on. So that's the addressing of that timeliness and frequency of learning that we're after. The raffle draw here is our games of chance often have a lot more intrigue to them because there's that sense of unpredictability in them. So it labels that. Obviously, the user can see that's a raffle draw with multiple different winners in this case. And so you can keep track of how many entries you have. And the way it works is that you set the price for the purchase entry to that raffle draw. And each time the user purchases an entry, they improve their odds of winning. And so that's a dynamic number depending on who else is going in there and who else is purchasing. And then at the end of that time frame, that's when that particular raffle draw item is selected and automatically deposited into the winner's purchased items there. We also have direct purchases where simply like shopping at the store, if you have enough coins for it, You can purchase it. We've added in some way of managing the items, but also we put in scarcity, so you can see that there's fewer and fewer remaining over time, and eventually there'll be a sold out sign if there are none left there. So that's our direct purchase. And then we also have raffle draws here, where you can put an item up for bid. So your opening bid comes in here. I'm from Canada. We're really good at taxing things. So this was a really easy idea for me. I was like, we got to put a tax on participating in these auctions. So that's the handling fee there. So in other words, if a user goes in and makes a bid, they would then be out 105 coins here. If someone outbids them, they get their 100 back, but we keep that 5. So that's our technique of always trying to drain the coins as much as we can from the user to keep that connection going back into Moodle to earn some more. So those are the 3 entry ways that we add items to our store. And then the way it works is on the other side, where if they either purchase an item directly or they win it in a raffle draw or an auction, those items show up here under my purchases. And so this is where I've got 2 items in here. You can set items to be self-redeemed. So either a teacher or a manager does not have to be involved in the redemption process there. There's an automatic message you can set on the dashboard for an automatic redemption. And then this item up here, the yoga session in this case, is where the user will request a redemption here. And I can say, this is that communication piece, especially if the users or the learners are at a distance. You can have them set anything up to as a message system. I can spell your name there, Christian.
I'll remember that. Don't worry.
So you can send the message to the manager or teacher to communicate, like, how do I get this? And that message then gets sent to the dashboard, and the way so that message shows up for the teacher or manager, and then they can approve that and then communicate back through the messaging system here. So let's say I'm the manager. I say, sure, no problem. I'm going to see Christian next week. I'll give it to him then. I can send that message back here through notifications. So those notifications are just like regular messaging that you get through Moodle, but you can also tie on the email system onto your Moodle site. So you can have the users get that message through both mechanisms, through the notifications and both email. Our leaderboards here are, as I mentioned here, we can turn them completely on or off. And so this one here you can see is a user versus user. And so that's me it's actually not me. Oh, here I am, Jeff demoed down here. So I have 1,273 coins that I've earned in total. And you can see my wallet shows only 733. That's because I've spent them. So this leaderboard is based on your total accumulation of those coins. And again, these users here are the ones found in the cohort that are specific to those store items there. If you go over here, we can go to our section leaderboards, and these are all of the cohorts that are found within this Moodle site. And so, again, this is the cumulative coins that are collected by each of the members in that cohort. Again, you can turn this on or off, and in this case, we've made it anonymous. So our leaderboards, you can also show just the relative positioning if you want to display where people are, but not, or still have that privacy setting so people can't see who the other cohorts are. Our recent activity, the last one here, we have the ability to see where the learner are earning coins. And so this just keeps a 30-day history. I haven't been learning enough, clearly, but I've been manually awarding coins to myself, which is another feature that you can do as well. So this would show where those coins are being earned by the learner, and they can keep then track of a bit of the history there. So that's in essence, that is the functionality of the block. The dashboard, again, is the place which drives all of this functionality here.
That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeff. That's looking really, really good. I'm getting excited about that. I want to start seeing where I can use that. That's really awesome. Can you maybe just give us, Jeff, just maybe just one case study of what you've actually, where this has been applied before, and something that might be a really good success story that you'd love to share with us and our audience?
Sure. I'll go to that vocational school there out of Australia. They came to us and they train a wide variety of different vocations. And specifically, they were looking at a cohort of early childhood educators and another cohort of transport truck driving certification. And so I was just really excited about the fact that our platform can share a single Moodle site and yet have two different groups of people, and the interests and the idea of establishing two completely different stores within a Moodle site for those groups of users was received really well, because they had obviously different items and opportunities that what they wanted to put into those stores. So that was really one of the kind of the highlights of how well you can separate out and make a personal connection of the entire Motrain experience for different groups of users under the same roof.
Yeah, wonderful. Very, very nice. All right, well, I'll let you kick off your screen share now, Jeff, if you like. We'll just go back to our webcams together. So, look, I really want to thank you, Jeff, for coming along today and actually sharing so much about Motrain with us and really showing us how exciting this can be. And I think it does have some really, really great potential. And I hope those of you online actually feel the same as well, that you sort of feel that you can really see how this was going to make a big difference and could really engage your learners in some really different ways. Now, I'm just about to jump into question time. Those questions there. To kick us off, just a couple that have come through. So I've got one here just from someone saying, can you customize the value of the coins at all?
Yeah, one of the cool features is that we can link the Moodle site to our dashboard, and that allows us to see what the courses are listed and what the activities are within those courses. So you can customize the completion value of each of those activities within each of those courses, as well as customize the completion of each course value. So it's highly customizable and very easy to use on the dashboard. Yeah.
Wonderful, great, okay, all right. There was also another one, Jeff, that somebody's asked is about, can users redeem coins to enroll into a Moodle course?
As of right now, you would have to put the Moodle course as an item within that within the store, and so it would not be automatic at this point, but you could definitely put that the enrollment of a course within the store. That's a really we do have a few people doing that actually.
Yeah, wonderful. That's a great one. Yeah, all right. Another one that came through is I don't like the name of coins. Is it possible for me to change that?
Right, you can customize the coin icon and the coin name to anything you want. One of our clients there, that culinary certification program, they changed the name to credits, and then they've changed the icon to their own icon, and then users earn credits for completing activities and courses, and then they actually purchase their certification at the end. So the onus on the certification process is actually put on the user, and then the admin doesn't have to watch who's where.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, all right. And last one that I've got that's come through so far is that, can you be more specific if I earn a coin within a course or site-wide?
Yeah, these are site-wide earned, and so whatever course a user is put in, and it basically is going to put coins into their wallet. So it is a site-wide. You can set courses to be 0 if you'd liked,
Okay.
so that no coins are earned for them, but it is site-wide.
Wonderful. Okay, terrific. All right. Well, look, that brings us to the end. I really want to thank everybody for joining us online today. Also want to thank you, our special presenter, Jeff, as well. I know it's getting a bit late over there at the moment, so we'll end this. We'll wrap things up here. Like I said, everybody, if you want to know more about Motrain, we can give you some demos. We can give you some samples. We can really help make your Moodle sites even more engaging than what you might have thought they already are. So awesome.